morning, boys and girls. Happy Easter. It is such a special day, and I am so glad that we are back together again. And you know what? This Easter is going to look a little bit different, don't you think? Usually we get to be together and we do lots of fun games and we hear an amazing story. But even though this is going to look different, we are going to still hear the most amazing story ever. And do you know what? I actually have some surprises for you today too. We're going to do some fun things and you get to see another part of my house. We're going to go somewhere else from the living room and I will tell you all about that fun stuff in just a few minutes. But first, I thought it would be fun. We can't play some of our games that we normally play together, but I thought we could play one of our Easter games on the TV. Do you think we could do that? All right, we're going to play our game called Easter Close-Ups. So what you're going to see is going to be something that's from Easter, and it's going to be really close up, and we're going to get further and further away, and you have to guess what it is. Are you ready? How quickly do you think you can guess what the picture is? So this one's white. Do you have a guess? What are those? I bet you know now. It's a bunny. What do you think about this one? Pink and green and yellow. A flower. This one's green. Do you think it's another plant? It's kind of tricky. I think this one is something else. Do you know what that candy's called? It's a peep. I bet you can guess this one. You probably have one at your house. It's an Easter basket. What's yellow and fuzzy? Do you know now? It's a chick. You want a hint on this one? It's where the chick comes from. It's an egg. All right. You guys did a great job. That was awesome. Okay, so we're not going to talk to Bobby today, but I have a fun surprise for you. He sent me some pictures of all of the things that he and Becky have been doing at their house this week. Becky and Bobby are staying at their house just like we all are to keep people safe during this sickness, but they've been doing a lot of fun things just like you boys and girls, and Bobby and Becky wanted you to see. Do you want to see some of the things Becky and Bobby have been doing this week? Let's look. So Becky and Bobby have been working on what is that? It's a puzzle. Do you see they've got their frame all done? It looks like they're working on The Incredibles, and they're doing a great job on their puzzle. There's a lot of pieces, don't you think? Let's see what else they've been doing. They've been playing outside to get some fresh air. Becky's doing a little climbing there, huh? Do your mom and dad let you climb on things? You have to be careful. Let's see what else. It looks like, oh, they had an Easter egg hunt. They have baskets just like you boys and girls probably do, and it looks like they caught some eggs and their baskets for their Easter egg hunt. Let's see what else. Oh, do you boys and girls have plenty of toilet paper at your house? It looks like Becky and Bobby have enough. And then they wanted to say, Happy Easter! They were so happy to send you boys and girls some pictures and see how you were doing. And they have had such a good week getting ready for Easter, and they hope that you boys and girls have had such a good week too. All right, now I want to see how good your memories are. Do you think you can remember what we talked about a whole week ago? Do you remember? on Palm Sunday? Do you remember? Let's see. On Palm Sunday, if you remember, there were people in a town and Jesus was coming to the town to visit. He was actually coming to celebrate Passover. And the people started hearing that he was coming and they were getting excited. You see, this guy is calling to his friends and the kids are running and they're all very excited because they heard that the king was coming. So they got all their palm branches and their robes and they went to stand where Jesus was going to be, and they laid their coats on the ground and they waved their palms. Do you remember what they said? They said, Hosanna. And Jesus rode in on what? He came in on a donkey. Jesus rode through town on a donkey and people waved their palm branches and laid their coats on the ground. And they knew that he was very special. But some people did not like him, you remember? And they did not think that he was the kind of king that they were expecting. And so they were kind of mad. Some people didn't like all the things that Jesus was teaching, and they did not believe that he was God's son. And they were really kind of mean to him. And today, we're going to find out what happened with some of those people. Do you think I can read you a little more of the story? Let's figure out what happened after Palm Sunday. Okay. So here's Jesus last week on his donkey, and all of the people are waving their palm branches for him coming in, right? So he was coming to celebrate Passover, and he had the Passover meal. When they would have the Passover holiday, they would come together with their friends and their family, and they'd have a meal together to remember something amazing that God had done for their people. So Jesus was having a meal with his disciples. So it goes like this. While Jesus and his closest followers were eating the Passover dinner, Jesus took some bread and thanked God for it. He broke the bread apart and said, "Take this bread and eat it. Do this to remember me." Next he took a cup and said, "When you drink this, remember me." Jesus knew that this was his last meal with his friends because he was about to be killed. He wanted his disciples to always remember him. So that's why they had something special to eat, boys and girls, and he wanted them to remember him even after he was gone. And his disciples were a little bit confused because they weren't really sure where Jesus was going to go. After dinner, Jesus and his disciples went straight from dinner to a quiet garden. Jesus wanted to pray and ask God to make him strong for what was about to happen. Did you know that even Jesus prayed sometimes? He needed some help. He was probably feeling a little bit scared about what was going to happen. He took 3 of his closest friends, Peter, James, and John, and they went with him, and Jesus asked them to wait and to pray for him too. Well, he went a little farther into the garden to pray by himself. It was very late, and the 3 men were very tired. They couldn't keep their eyes open to pray. Are you ever so tired that you can't even keep your eyes open? That's how they felt. They were trying to pray with Jesus, but they were just so tired. Soon they were asleep. Jesus woke them up twice, but they went back to sleep each time. The 3rd time Jesus woke up his followers, he said, "We have to go. Here comes the man who has turned against me." Then a big crowd carrying torches, do you know what that is? It's like a light, a fire light so they could see, and clubs came into the garden. Judas, one of Jesus' followers, was with them. He kissed Jesus on the cheek, and this was a sign to the guards to arrest Jesus. Was that nice? No, Jesus was very sad because his friend did something that was so bad and told these bad people about him. So Jesus was with the guards, and they started to take him away. Well, the soldiers took Jesus, and they put a crown on his head. And it wasn't a crown like a king would wear. It was a crown with thorns. Have you ever touched a flower in your yard and a thorn pricked your finger? It hurts, doesn't it? Well, this had thorns, and it went on his head, and they pushed it down on his head, and it cut him and it hurt very bad. And they led him out of the city to a place called Golgotha to be killed on a cross. Do you see, boys and girls, they put up the cross here, and there were nails in his hands and his feet. At 9 o'clock in the morning, the soldiers nailed Jesus to the cross. They also put 2 robbers beside Jesus, one on the right and one on the left. You see these 2 men right here with Jesus. Now, these people beside Jesus, they had done some bad things, and this was their punishment. But did Jesus do anything bad? No. Jesus was dying on the cross and getting this huge punishment, even though he had never done anything wrong. And boys and girls, he did that because he loves us so much, and he got in trouble so that we wouldn't have to. So there's Jesus on the cross. Well, guess what? In the afternoon, it became very dark, and there was a big earthquake, and Jesus died. It was very sad. His friends and his family who were there were crying. They were so sad because Jesus had died. The earth shook, and the thick curtain in the temple ripped from top to bottom, and that showed that people could be even closer to God now. And when this happened, the soldiers at the cross saw, and they knew that Jesus really was God's son. Now, we're going to come back and hear a little bit about what happened a couple of days later. But first, I need to tell you what happened when they took Jesus down off the cross. So, I need you to come with me because we're going to learn this together. But we have to go to my kitchen. Can you come with me to the kitchen? Let's go. Boys and girls, welcome to my kitchen. Did you know we were going to come to the kitchen and do some cooking today? I bet not, but we have something special that we're going to do today, okay? Do you think you can do some cooking with me? We're going to hear the next part of our story, and we're going to do it with a special cooking lesson. So why don't you come over here and join me, and I'm going to tell you about what happened after Jesus died on the cross. So, first, we're going to open up these rolls. Do you ever cook with something like these at home? Ooh, and they're kind of hard to open, aren't they? So don't worry, I just washed my hands. It's always important to wash your hands before you do any cooking, boys and girls. It's important to wash your hands all the time, actually. We're learning a lot about that, aren't we? Okay, so we're going to roll out this dough, and we are going to take a marshmallow, and I'm going to tell you about this marshmallow in just 1 second. But here's something important when we make these. We have to get this nice and tight, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. Okay, so we are going to pretend like this marshmallow is Jesus's body. And when Jesus died on the cross, they took his body down off of the cross, and things were different then. They didn't really put people in the ground like when we bury people today after they die. And so they put them in something called a tomb, which was kind of like a cave. But before they put them in, they had to do a few things to get them all ready. So they took Jesus's body, and they got some special oil, and they put oil all over his body. And this was to take care of his body, and it was to show how much they loved him, right? So they put some oil on his body, and then they put some spices. So we're going to put some spices on our marshmallow here to show us about the spices that they used before they put Jesus in the tomb. So after they got his body all ready with oil and spices, then they wrapped it up. All right, now this is where I said you have to wrap it nice and tight, okay? So they wrapped the body up so tight before they put it in the tomb. And they made sure that the fabric was all around so that it would take very good care of Jesus's body, right? So Jesus's body was all wrapped up with oil and spices, and then they put it in the tomb. So we're going to put our roll in the oven here, and we're going to see what happens. Something very surprising is going to happen with this. Can we see? You ready? Okay. So we're going to put that in the oven, and then I'm going to read you a little bit more of our story about what we just did, okay? So, this part is called Jesus is Laid in a Tomb. A rich man named Joseph of Arimathea had a new tomb where he planned to be buried. So this wasn't a place that was for Jesus before. This was for a man named Joseph. But Joseph was very kind and he loved Jesus, and so he wanted to give his tomb for Jesus to go and be buried. He took Jesus' body down from the cross and got it all ready and to go to his empty tomb. Joseph and Jesus' friends wrapped Jesus' body in strips of linen, that's cloth, like a fabric, just like we just wrapped the dough around the marshmallow, and laid it carefully in the tomb. A huge stone was rolled in front of the door, and soldiers came to guard the tomb. They sealed the stone in a way that would show if anyone tried to move it. And then the soldiers stayed outside the tomb, boys and girls, to make sure that no one came to take away Jesus' body. Do you see? Jesus' friends are crying. They're so sad. They were very, very sad. Well, they put Jesus in the tomb, and they did all of those things that we just talked about so that they would be able to show everyone how much they loved Jesus and to honor him. And then they had to wait, because Jesus had told them something special was going to happen, but they really weren't sure exactly what it was, and they knew they had to wait. Well, guess what? We have to wait too, because our cooking isn't quite done yet. And you know what? I think it's going to take a very long time. Are they done yet? Still not. Oh man, 10 more minutes. God, I gotta wait so long. Guess I'll just keep working on this puzzle while I wait for those rolls to cook. It's taking forever. And this piece still doesn't fit. Donald, I know it's gonna be delicious, but we have to wait. It's taking forever, I know, but it's just those rolls are gonna be really good. And yeah, we'll get to hear the end of the story, I promise. Are there any snacks in this place? Oh, thanks. Boys and girls, that waiting was so hard, don't you think? You know, if it was that hard for us to wait for something to cook, imagine how hard it was for Jesus' friends to wait and see what happened, what the big surprise was that he talked about. Are you ready to see what happened with our cooking? Let's find out what's in there. Okay, so here's our roll. I'm gonna get it out of the oven. These are fun to make at home, but boys and girls, if you make these, you need to get your family to help you, okay? All right, so we are going to see what happened inside of our roll here, okay? It's a little hot. All right, so remember, we took a marshmallow, and that was like Jesus's body, right? And we put oil on it and spices, and then we put it in the tomb, right? Well, when Jesus's friends came back to the tomb, let's see what it looks like inside here. We're gonna check on our marshmallow, right? Well, friends, where's our marshmallow? Our roll is empty. Can we go hear the rest of our story? If that was surprising, I bet you are gonna love to hear what happens next. Let's go back and finish. All right, are you ready to finish the rest of our story? Let's read the very end. This part is called Jesus is Alive. The angel said, "Don't be afraid. Jesus is alive." Those women were as happy as they could be. They ran to find Jesus' other friends. Some of Jesus' friends didn't believe everything that the women said, but everything they said was true. Jesus was alive. He had risen from the dead. And do you know what, boys and girls? Those disciples, they all got to see Jesus later, and it was so exciting for them, because their best friend was back, and they were so glad that Jesus was stronger than death, and he was alive. It was amazing. Do you think we can learn a verse? Can we do a verse together? An Easter verse? I think this one is so special. I bet you can figure out what it's about. It goes like this. He's not here. He is risen. Matthew 28:6. Who is saying that? That is the words of the angel at the tomb, right? When the people came to look for Jesus, he wasn't there because he was alive. So it goes like this. He's not here. He is risen. Matthew 28:6. Good job. Can we do that one more time? He's not here. He is risen. Matthew 28:6. Awesome. Boys and girls, you've done a great job today, but I think we need to celebrate this great news. Can we sing one song together before we go? We're going to sing It's a Happy Day, because it was such a happy day when Jesus was alive again, and that's what we celebrate every Easter. So every Easter is a happy day, and we're going to sing together. Are you ready? All right. I need you boys and girls to get up and dance with me, okay? See some Easter eggs? Okay, we're going to sing Oh, 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 oh. Can you do that like the kids? Happy day. Oh, 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 oh. Jesus is alive. It's a happy day. Good job. We're going to sing Jesus is alive. Jesus is alive. It's a happy day. Come on, everybody, let me hear you say, Jesus is alive. It's a happy day. Can you have a party? Let me see your dance moves. I'm gonna say happy day. It's a happy day. Good. Oh, oh. Can you do your O's? Jesus is alive. It's a happy day. Good job. We're gonna sing Jesus is alive. Jesus is alive. It's a happy day. Come on, everybody, let me hear you say, Jesus is alive. It's a happy day. Ready to party? Let me see your moves. What you got? It's a happy day. They're having a party, aren't they? You dancing? It's a happy day. Good job. We're going to do some repeating, okay? Can you sing after me? He's not in that grave. Life has been given. It's a happy day. Good job. Oh. You doing your O's? Let me hear them. Oh, it's a happy day. Good, again. Oh, Jesus is alive. It's a happy day. One more. Jesus is alive. It's a happy day. Good job, boys and girls. You did great singing and dancing. I love when your moms and dads share videos of you guys singing. It makes me so happy, and it makes God so happy when you sing to him. Did you know that? All right, we are going to pray together before we go, and I hope that you boys and girls have a great day with your families. Can we pray? Dear God, thank you so much for this day. We love you so much, and we thank you for Jesus. We thank you that he died because he loved us so much, and we thank you that he was stronger than death and came back to life. It's amazing, and we praise you, God, for this wonderful news of Easter. And we thank you so much that we get to celebrate that together every year, Lord. And this year looks a little bit different, but we are so glad that we could still be together this Easter morning. And I pray for these boys and girls that you will keep them safe and healthy, and their families too, until we can be together again. We love you. Amen. All right, boys and girls, happy Easter. Have a great day.